I don't know if I should tell this story or not, but
Yes, you should.
so again, I'm working homicide. This is a completely different case. It was a drug deal that had gone bad at a seedy motel, and
I remember when Chandler was like the thing, and then Gilbert popped up, and then Awatuki was like, "Don't forget about me." And then, what kind of growth have you seen in the East Valley? When there's different perspectives, right? When you just see it grow, that's one thing, but when you see it grow from nothing, it there's a different sense to it. You've seen it grow. You've seen it all grow from nothing. What's that been like?
well, if you're familiar with Tempe, I can remember when Mill Avenue dead ended at Baseline, and everything south of there was cornfields.
What?
There's a Fry's shopping center on the corner of Southern and Mill, and I remember as a kid going over there and watching the horses that were in the pasture there. There was no shopping center, so
Wow.
from that till today, I've watched Tempe grow. Um, Gilbert, same thing. The Stapley and Baseline was cornfields, and now look at it. And my family and I, we moved to Queen Creek about 6 years ago, and gosh, the Queen Creek marketplace, that wasn't there. The QC district wasn't there, so we've just kind of watched this place start to explode and watch the farmland turn into neighborhoods, which is kind of sad, but what are you gonna do?
That's growth, right? I mean,
That is
I
growth.
remember I drove out to Santan Valley. I want to get back to Queen Creek in a second because that I think is one of the most interesting areas of growth in the East Valley. But I drove out to Santan, and I'm from the West Valley, so like I drove. It was like many times I was like this. I was like, did I miss it? Because I don't. And then all of a sudden you're just like, boom. There's like, and there's so much growth there. They were building,
Crazy.
like every corner was a building, every corner was a thing. It's incredible how fast, how big, how wide, how large, how much money. Like it's incredible.
And if there's a piece of dirt, we're going to build something on it. You look at other states, other areas, they've got some rolling hills and some meadows, but not here. If there's room to put 4 houses on a lot, we're going to put a little private community in there, it seems.
Yeah, yeah. So Queen Creek is, I think, very interesting to me and other people. If you're from out of the state and you're watching this, you need to know that like Queen Creek, it sounds great. You can look it up on the map. It's super developed. You can reach out to John; he'll share stuff with you too. But like Queen Creek is it was in the really far out there group for a long. It was not Queen Creek originally. I believe it was originally called Way Out in Queen Creek.
It was I think it was Western Albuquerque is what they actually called it.
Western. Well, that's its formal name.
Yeah.
Western Albuquerque. That's very funny. But Queen Creek didn't grow like the other areas. It grew into like a gem. So the housing values in Queen Creek, that's like the bougie place to be now in the West Valley, or I'm sorry, the East Valley. And it's incredible. You bought 6 years ago. Were you trying to move away from people? Or did you just get lucky? Or did you say like, oh, this is going to be amazing in a few years?
We were in South Gilbert and decided, we saw this neighborhood being developed and thought, yeah, let's go buy a house in there. And so we did, and it was, what was it, 2015. So things hadn't really exploded yet.
Yeah.
And we lived in that house for 5 years. And then my wife kind of said, hey, I saw this other house in this other neighborhood. So we ended up building another house. And we got in just before the explosion. And so, we were still able to pick the house we wanted on the lot we wanted without any wait list or anything. And then right afterwards, everything exploded, and you can't do that now. And of course, home values have just, they're going up about 21% per year in this area, which is, that's a lot.
What's the average purchase price for like a starter home and maybe like a next level home in the Queen Creek area?
You're going to be looking at in the 400s for just for a starter home. Not long ago, 315, 370, 315 to 350-ish maybe.
Uh-huh.
That's creeped up to 395, and now I'm thinking of a 1,500 square foot home in maybe Hastings Farms that's been there for 10 years or so, and it's going to be up over 400.
Wow. I remember when that happened to Chandler, and all of a sudden there was $800,000 houses in Chandler, and then Gilbert took over, and nobody heard from Chandler anymore, and then now Queen Creek is like owning it. If you're a step up buyer, what can you expect to spend, and what do you think you can get for that? Like somebody coming from California who can work from home remotely, and they want like a new area that's probably, I'd say realistically, a little higher end. What do you think that price point looks like, and what do they get for their money?
So I've got actually a lot of California buyers that kind of fit that description. And, to get up into the 3,000 square foot price range, they're paying 650 and above, sometimes over 700 as a base price to get, 3,500, 3,800 square feet on maybe a quarter of an acre, if even that much. Because
Wow.
again, we like to cram as many houses onto an acre that we can.
Yeah.
But yeah, the housing prices here have just really increased. And so if you're a seller, it's great. If you're a buyer, you got to pony up a little bit more cash to get in now.
Yeah, I mean, I have this new theory that I'm running now saying if you're a buyer, it's better to be a buyer in a seller's market than a buyer's market, because at least the values continue to go up. At
Right.
some point, we know they're going to start to go down or level off or whatever. But if you're in a buyer's market where prices are falling, you don't really know where the bottom is. So
Right.
you're almost guaranteed to be losing money the moment that you buy. But at least if you buy in a seller's market, there's a chance that you could stay even. It's less likely that it goes down, and there might
Right.
be a really good chance that you get an increase in value.
Yeah, I don't think anybody really sees the market crashing anytime in the near future and falling, but stabilizing would really be kind of nice.
Yeah.
This meteoric rise in prices it's not sustainable, so it's got to stop. So and we're pricing the young family that's starting out. There's when a starter home 1,500 square feet is $500,000. I mean, what are they supposed to do? It's frustrating for them, and it's frustrating for me as well.
I mean, they're going to have to live in Santan. That's what they're going to have to do, right? Or
Well,
Florence. I mean, even
Florence and
Florence is getting
Coolidge,
built out.
I mean, Florence and Coolidge, that's where all the growth is headed to. You check back in about 5 or 6 years, and you're going to be talking about Coolidge is the new Queen Creek.
What? Where does it end?
New Mexico? I don't know.
I guess they're just like, I've heard like forever they're talking about having just like one giant subdivision from Phoenix all the way to Tucson. It's getting closer, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, you can drive an hour and a half and still be in the Phoenix metro area.
Oh.
I'm working with clients who were looking out in Goodyear, and I'm coming from Queen Creek, and it was literally an hour and a half to get to Goodyear.
Yeah.
So
I could say the same thing if I'm coming from Goodyear.
Yeah.
Going to Queen Creek.
Yeah. But we try not to go to the west side.
I know, same thing. I know.
East side where it's at. So
yeah, first time I went to that farm. What's that farm called in Gilbert? They have this what's that?
Schnepp Farm. Schnepp.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. The food's amazing. I should do a video on it. You should do a video on it. It's amazing, that place. And I remember I was like, where is all, like going to Disneyland the first time, you're just like, you're just looking around, taking it all in, like, where are all these people coming from? It's like a whole other universe over there. And I'm sure you think the same thing about the West Side.
Yeah, I was amazed at the west side out in the the new build area with the 55 plus communities. I mean,
Yeah.
that was not the west side when I was growing up. The west side was a little closer in and a little bit different.
Yeah, out in Verrado, which is very far,
Yeah.
they have a new build for 55 and older, and it's awesome. I mean, it is just awesome. The designs, the layouts, they've gotten really good at figuring out the house thing.
And today's active adult is not the same as 20 years ago. We have a lot of active adult communities in the East Valley, but they're all built in the 70s and 80s and 90s, and they're nothing like the new ones out on the west side, like Cantamia. That's one that really impressed me in Goodyear, and kind of like it's not your father's Oldsmobile anymore. Well, it's not your father's active adult community anymore either.
So is there luxury property in Queen Creek? Like high end? Are they taping over $1 million, right? In some areas, or is it still pretty much?
There's a couple of neighborhoods that are well over $1 million. And we've got new build communities that are starting out at $1 million now too. So it's crazy. You can, there's communities that, the base price is 800 and you can certainly upgrade it to over $1 million, but there's a couple of Toll Brother communities where, start out at 1.1 million.
It's funny when we were buying our first house, I think it was 1990, 95? No, 97. We were buying our first house in 1997. I went to a Toll Brothers community, and I remember I was like, 325,000 for a house. Who on the earth is gonna pay this? Like in my head, I was just like, that's preposterous.
Well, I totally get it. We when my wife and I bought our first house, we paid $112,000 for it, and I really wanted the bigger house across the street. It was a new build. That one was $124,000.
I remember that. That's funny.
There is no way I can make that. And so we went with the smaller 112,000, and guess what? 2 years later, we actually bought the bigger house down the street in the same neighborhood. But yeah, it's like we're talking $12,000. But back then, man, that was unsurmountable for me.
And that's another great point, right? It's not just the values that have gone up, it's how we value the differentials, right? So what's a $12,000 difference now? Like now we're like, that's nothing, because we're programmed to think it's nothing because it is really nothing. Right. But back then, I remember the same thing. Our first house was 102,000. The next door neighbor house across the street with the golf course was like 135. And in my head, I was like, oh, I'm not rich. I can't spend 135,000. My payment will be $900 a month.
Yeah, I know. Can you believe that?
Right? It's so funny how things change. Like, I can't have a $900 a month mortgage payment. I'm gonna be a slave to my house.
Yeah, no kidding. Wouldn't you love one now?
Yeah, I mean that'd be amazing to like just sort of transplant that stuff. And I would never have thought that those same houses now are worth at least 2, but probably 3 times what. Now, granted, it was a long time ago, but still, like, I have this image, like you said, the cornfields. I have this image in my mind of what it was, and that image is still there, right? In a way. And it's a funny thing. I don't know if it's just age or personal growth or what it is, but it's weird how stuff crystallizes in your head, and then there's like a sort of kind of stays there. So, like, when you look at the houses in Queen Creek now, for example, and you compare that to what you paid for your first house in Queen Creek, right? Isn't there a part of you that's like, what?
My very first house that I bought was in 1989, and I remember we paid $84,500 for that house. And I don't know what that house is worth today. It's, been 30 years and it was kind of an older house then, but it's certainly worth more than 84.5. And as you know, 84 is not going to get you anything anywhere now.
No, I mean, it can't even
Yeah,
get you a mobile home. It can
no,
barely get you a car
yeah,
in
pretty
some
much.
circumstance.
Yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, I look at like I said, that 1,500 square foot home in Hastings Farms. It's a great community, about 10 years old, and those are now $400,000. Just
So what's your advice for first time home buyers? If you're buying a house for the first time, right? And people are calling you, what are you sharing with them? Take me through what you take them through.
well, so I think the very first thing is they got to have some patience. Now they're probably not familiar with it, but maybe they've heard about it. But the days of going out and you find the house and you fall in love with it and you make an offer and it's accepted and you buy it and you live happily ever after, those are kind of on hold right now. We've, especially in the sub $400,000 home prices in that price range, it's just been a feeding frenzy, even in the higher prices as well. But in those lower price ranges, it's been a feeding frenzy. So the first time home buyer is probably going to miss out on their first offer and their second offer, maybe even their third offer. I've heard anecdotal stories of people who put in 32 offers before they ever got a home.
Yeah.
So you got to be really, really patient and understand that and not get frustrated. And I think if you recognize that going in, then when it starts to happen, you're a little bit better prepared for it. The other part is the other thing that a first time home buyer typically doesn't understand is they know they have to have a down payment, but they've never considered closing costs on top of that. They've never considered, especially if they're doing a new build, oh wait, I got to put window coverings on and ceiling fans and
Great point.
and oh, now I got to put it in the backyard. So the expenses, they just start coming and coming and coming, and so you got to be prepared for that as well.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, that's a really great point. It seems obvious if you're in the business,
Right.
but when you buy a new build house, and at the risk of sounding like an idiot of obviousness, when you buy a new build house, you're buying the house as it could be. You're not buying the house that you're gonna get. And when you move in, you have no window coverings, you have no backyard typically, and your front landscaping, not great. And if you have ceiling fans as part of it, they're probably not great ceiling fans. And maybe even the carpet, unless you over upgraded the carpet, is probably not the best carpet. And it's not painted. And there's probably no crown molding, and the baseboards
Right.
are probably tiny. And
Very basic.
it's like a whole thing. Even when you get an upgraded place, it's still very basic, where you don't have staggered cabinets on the kitchen usually. And in order to get a more moderately upgraded house, that's when you get into the Toll Brothers stuff, where they've done some of that for you. But even at that, they're still their level of a builder basics model. And I know that seems very obvious to us, but I think a lot of people will be surprised to be reminded of that.
So yeah, and a lot of times buyers will go look at the model home and they think that's what they're going to get is that model home. And I have to explain that no, this thing probably has $100,000 worth of upgrades in it.
Yeah.
You're not going to get, unless you decide to pay for it, you're not going to get all these things. And then they also expect that the way the model home is presented is exactly how their home is going to be built. And that never happens either.
Great
because there's
point.
always little tweaks that have to be made, and there's problems along the way. So you can't rely on that your home looking exactly like that model home.
Yeah, because that's another amazing point that I think needs to be out there. When you're in the model, they're adding the butler's pantry. They're adding,
Right.
extra shelving. They're filling in the little gaps that on top of everything else are not filled in, and that you can't probably fill in because, they're giving the extra 2 feet on the end of the garage. They're doing
Yeah.
everything to try to make that place look as good as possible. And you brought up another point, which I think is great and a bit uncommon, which is the upgrades. Talk about the upgrades in the new homes as opposed to the upgrades that these normal buyers might get or be able to afford.
Well, I'm not sure that I really understand the question.
Oh, it's too bad because it's an amazing question. Here's what
I'm
I'm saying.
sure it was, and it just went right over there.
Here's the point. I'm gonna need to edit this so we both look great. So we're gonna edit that part, and you're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, that's great," and then maybe we'll put something in there.
I'll start my answer with, "That's an awesome question."
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So Parker, we're gonna keep his awesome question part, and we're gonna get rid of the rest. Okay.
Don't
Anyway.
edit anything.
Yeah.
Keep it real.
So no, my point is, I just had this idea, and I'd never thought of it before. When you're in a new build, they do all the upgrades, every upgrade that they can do that think is going to maximize the saleability of the house. The model is unique in that they can actually over upgrade that model and not be able to receive the money back on it. So if you built it out exactly like the model, there are instances where it won't appraise for value.
Right.
And I had never thought of that before, but if you're buying a new build, the thing you have to remember is that the purpose of that model home is to sell you on that housing model community.
It's that, and it's to show you what can be. So when you go in there, today's buyers pretty much anticipate having some sort of granite countertop, stainless appliances. But when you go into the model home, it's going to be the level 6 granite and the gourmet kitchen with the double wall ovens, and rather than the standard slide in stove and range. So you got to keep all that stuff in mind and just recognize that what you're seeing in that model is not what you're going to get. I wish, I've seen this once in a while, but I wish the builders would put like little tags that say, this is an upgrade, this is an upgrade, this is standard, so that as you are going through, you have an idea of what you're really going to get versus what they're showing you.
They used to do that, right? There was a minute where I saw that, but apparently who knew that impacted the purchases of the houses.
Yeah, I know of one builder that does it in one model, but not their other 4 models that they have on site. So I don't know.
That's really depressing though when you think about it, because that's the equivalent of going into a house and every tag is an insult. Like you're like, what's this little tag? And you read it and it goes, you're ugly. Like, oh, well then
Yeah,
forget
or
you.
nope, you can't have this.
Forget you countertop. Oh yeah. You go to the next tag, and the next tag's like, hey, you don't make enough money for this.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the next one goes like, you're a loser. You just go on and get insulted. You're not good enough. Your parents prefer your sister over you. Like, it's just like on and on and on. Maybe that's why they stopped doing it.
If you're going to get life insurance, there's no better way to really feel bad about yourself is to go through the medical questionnaire for life insurance.
Yeah.
So you're kind of, because then you're outlining every little thing.
Yeah.
And so that made me think of that with your little analogy of all the tags. It's like, nope, you can't afford that. Sorry, not for you.
Credit score's not high enough. Nope.
Yep.
You married under your league.
That's right.
That's what my wife will go through this thing. She'll be like, your husband, you need to get a better husband. This guy's horrible. It's just like, I'm like, come on, model home. Damn.
Yeah.
So hard on me.
Yeah,
like I've now got a new thing. That reminds me of when they put the calorie count on the stuff that you're ordering. I'm very competitive. I go for the highest number possible. I've been programmed to pick I can't have a 600 calorie salad when there's a 1,500 calorie salad.
Exactly. High score wins.
Yeah. And now am I the only one? I look at these different calorie counts and I'm like, I deserve a much more delicious salad. And there's a direct correlation between the amount of calories and, the deliciousness of what I'm about to eat.
Wait, so they actually put calories on the labels? I've never seen that.
Yeah, go to restaurant, go to any place. They do it. Yeah, they do it. Now, I did make the last part up in full disclosure. I've never actually had a salad.
Well, that was a poor attempt at humor on my part to say I've never paid attention to the calories.
Oh, I missed it. I stumped you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Should we do that over?
Do it again. Do it again. Do it again.
What did I say? I don't remember.
Come on, I'm ready.
So wait, they actually like put the calories on there? I've never seen that before.
Oh my God.
I know. Parker, we're going to edit that one out too, right?
We're going to edit that, Parker. That's got to go out. Make my fake laugh is horrible, I guess. No, it's funny. I totally believed you. You're just, you're like, wait, you're like, oh, what? There's calories? And I go, you never seen calories before?
Who's this guy? That's because I have such a believable demeanor and delivery.
Well, you've got that like I might be in trouble look to you. I mean, I'm trying not to disappoint you because you're like looking right through me. I don't know if that's I'm like, what are you looking? Are you okay? I'm good. I'm not in trouble.
So I worked homicide for a number of years. And if you were in the Valley 20 years ago and you watched any type of morning TV, you saw TV commercials for Empire Auto Glass. And
I remember that. Yeah.
Okay. So Rick Chance giving away 12 free dinners every time you buy a windshield from him, Empire Auto Glass, every commercial was Rick Chance.
Yes.
Well, if you remember, Rick Chance was murdered in 2002. And it was a big news story at the time. Well, yours truly was the lead detective on that case.
So get out of here.
So that was that case was just the epitome of teamwork with all the detectives and everybody else involved. But it was the highest profile case I think we'd had to that date. And so it was an interesting case. I'm still friends with his brother to this day. And so I guess that's my big claim to fame, was being the case detective on the Rick Chance case.
So on that thing, and of course it's nothing to do with real estate, but it's super fascinating. Were you able to figure it out? How do you go about, if you're a detective in something like that? What are some of the steps that you do to try to piece it together? Because all I ever know, and I'm sure most people are the same boat, is what they see on TV. What's it like? How do you break it down, and how do you put the pieces together?
Well, so I mean, the call originally came out as, there's this deceased person in this motel room, and so when you get there, that's really all you have is a deceased body on the floor of this motel room. Well, then you got to start trying to find out who this person is. And of course, the most obvious thing is to check for a wallet. And sure enough, there's a wallet and there's ID. And so now you kind of have an idea of who the person is. But when did they check in? So then you go to the front desk and you find out when they checked in. And of course, they've got video of him checking in. And oh, look, there's somebody with him. Well, who's that? And you just start gathering all this evidence. And I was the lead, but we had, I don't know, 20 plus detectives at any given time chasing down leads on this case. So you run down some dead end leads, and you run down some that turn out to be really good, and that leads you to somebody else, and that leads you to somebody else. And finally you're talking to somebody who says, oh, I know who did it and I know where they are. And you just keep going from there. And in this case, the two suspects were actually located in Tacoma, Washington. And so hopped a plane and went up to Tacoma and worked with the Tacoma PD to get them in custody. And yeah.
And then you like, do you pull the Columbo move? You go, oh, that's about
Oh,
it.
one more thing.
Oh, my thing. Yes, yes, sir.
Um,
Do that move because it's very tempting, right? To be like, I'm just a bumbling detective from Phoenix.
so I'm not sure that I've ever done that, but I don't know if I should tell this story or not, but
Yes, you should.
so again, I'm working homicide. This is a completely different case. It was a drug deal that had gone bad at a seedy motel, and one of the drug dealers was killed by another drug dealer who was trying to rip him off.
When has that ever happened?
I know it.
Talk
Now,
about aliens and other things that you've never seen.
now I'm going to digress for just a second because I just thought of this. The night clerk at this motel who was there at the time of this murder, if you fast forward 20 years to today, he's one of my preferred lenders that I use.
Really?
Because I'm like, man, that name is familiar. Why is it so familiar? And then all of a sudden I put it together. Yeah, he graduated from the seedy motel and is a lender now. But
That doesn't speak very well for my profession, but okay. I
hey,
wish you hadn't told that story. I feel bad about myself now.
no,
I'm like one step away from being a seedy motel guy, but whatever. No offense to that. I'm sure he's way better than seedy motel guy now. But
he's graduated on from that. But at any rate, so this motel, it didn't have any surveillance cameras, but in talking with the suspect that was denying that he was even involved, I took out, this was the late 90s, early 2000s. So I took a videotape out, brand new videotape, but I put red evidence markers on it and I wrote security camera number 6 on it. And during the interview, I just set it on the table right there. So he'd keep looking down at this security tape. And the Supreme Court has said that law enforcement can lie to suspects. And so,
what?
Yeah, you can lie to suspects. You don't have to tell them the truth. And so I said, look, dude, we've got you on video, literally dragging, because they took the body elsewhere, dragging him down the stairs. And I've got you on video. It's right here. And at that point, he just broke down. He confessed to everything. He took me to Phoenix and showed me the lake where they threw the gun in the lake. So that cassette tape sat on my desk for the next 10 or 12 years till I retired as a kind of a
should have gold plated that thing. That's like a cop trophy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's amazing. And the confession sticks. Like he's like,
oh, absolutely.
Well, you said you do it. Like, so.
Yeah, don't get that confused with entrapment, because entrapment is getting somebody to do a crime that they wouldn't have otherwise done.
Okay.
And in this case, I'm just telling, I'm playing poker with them.
You're bluffing,
I've got
basically.
4 aces in my hand when I don't.
That's an amazing story. That is an amazing story. You're like the most interesting agent in the world. You really are. Like, I would never have thought. Anyway,
yeah.
I'm bamboozled.
None of it has anything to do with real estate, though.
No, but it does speak to the fact that like real estate agents are great people. They come, they have a history, they take some of that with them. And so like you must be an incredible negotiator when you're dealing with the other side, right? You're trying to get a good deal, you're trying to sell it up. Like you must be amazing at that.
I don't know about that, but I did write a blog post once where I kind of drew comparisons between the detective who's on the hunt following the evidence to find the bad guy and the home buyer who's on the hunt with their realtor to find the perfect home. And I kind of drew a correlation between those two and called it the thrill of the chase or something like that. So
pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So stepping it up a notch in intrigue and suspense from what you're describing before, what's your best real estate story?
I don't know if it's best. I remember one family that was, their U-Haul was literally parked at the motel, just all they had to do was sign, and they were going to get the keys to their brand new house, and the deal fell apart right then and there.
Whoa, how'd that happen?
The lender.
Yep.
Yeah. No, it was at a time during a government shutdown, and he was self-employed, and getting the tax transcripts had been problematic, and we thought we had them all. And right there at the closing table, the lender called and said, "Nope, can't do it." And
oh my God.
So that was pretty bad.
So you told two amazing non-real estate stories, and your two amazing real estate stories have to do with your lender being a mess. Oof, this is the worst podcast ever for me.
But okay, I got a feel good story for you.
Okay,
and you can edit out
finally,
the other stuff
geez.
if you want.
Very depressing.
A single mom from California with 4 or 5 kids saw one of my YouTube videos. She reached out to me. She needed to leave California and start a new life here in Arizona. I helped her get into a home, and actually handing her the keys to that house, it's actually doing it now, choked me up, because that family was just so happy. They were so happy to be out of whatever their situation was in California, to be in this new home, at least twice as big as whatever they had in California. Mm-hmm. And it literally just kind of put a lump in my throat and a tear in my eye to hand her the keys. And that's the kind of thing that makes all of this really worthwhile.
When was the sale? When was that?
It's been about a year and a half now.
Yep. And here's a prologue to that great story. She crushed it, because that house is worth so much more now than it was when they even bought it.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, and you made that happen. It's a wonderful business, right? When it works out. And thank you so much, John Ferrin, for being on the podcast. You were unexpectedly awesome. I mean, I expected awesome, but like you were like a next level of awesome. And thanks for taking the time.
Easily impressed.
And share with you. So I have very low standards. I'm not gonna lie. No. Just kidding. No, you were great. Thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing with us. And again, all of his information is in the description below. And if you need anything in the East Valley, he's the East Valley expert. He's been here forever. And I can guarantee you're in good and safe hands with this gentleman right here. Check out his YouTube channel, subscribe, and thank you again, sir, for being on the show.
My pleasure.
And talk to you soon. Drop it the comment, like it, and subscribe. Blah, blah, blah. Thee knowest thy drilleth.